Because I hit the pause button, everyone, I'm sorry. Just welcome to our meeting, CPC meeting, Wednesday, January 19th. Meeting is being held hybrid, meaning that we have in person and we have video present due to COVID restrictions. Folks present in the meeting, myself, Jeannie Reed, to my right, Beth Thomas, Susan Corey, Dave McWilliams, Dave Spina. Present by Zoom are Joanne Horchek, Deb Harath, Brian Walker, and John Wally. Those are the folks on the CPC committee. We'll begin our meeting with public comment. Is there anyone who has a public comment that would like to speak? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for public comment? Okay, thank you. Okay, continuing on to our meeting, we have, we'll start with old business. We have the review of the minutes from our last meeting, which was held on December 15th. Is there anyone from the committee who would like to comment on the meetings or the meeting, excuse me?
I read through the minutes and I think the minutes are fine. So I would make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay,
I would second the motion.
okay. All those in favor of accepting the meeting minutes from December 15th, 2021, say aye, please. Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Unanimous decision. Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda. Give me 1 minute, please. Is the brass rail project. This was from paperwork and project that was previously submitted from October 27th, 2021 meeting. Is there anyone who has any comments, any further comments that they'd like to discuss for the meeting?
Did we get anything?
I mean, for the application.
Did we get anything back from, I think it was the historical commission was going to look at?
From what I was told was that the historical commission was scheduled to have a meeting on January 3rd. Unfortunately, the meeting did not happen. I think there was a scheduling conflict or something like that. And then they're supposed to be meeting with Jen at the next meeting, which I think is at the end of the month. I can't remember the exact day, but whatever their next meeting is when they're supposed to be meeting. So we're going to kind of have to push our.
So that'll be continued.
Continuous.
To be continued, exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments or questions for the brass rail application at this time? Nope. Okay. And that's just to refresh you, we discussed last meeting about brass rail going in front of the historical commission to present their application and review the potential confirmation of the brass rail being on the rolls for it being a historical building. So that'll be discussed at their next meeting. Okay, moving on,
Do we need a motion
discussion.
to continue that move or? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah, I'd be willing
I
to
make a
go-
motion
okay.
to continue.
sure.
For the next meeting after the historical.
Okay. Anyone
I'd second that
second it?
motion. Yep.
Okay. All in favor of continuing this, the brass rail application for our next meeting?
Aye.
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 Okay, unanimous. Thank you, guys. Okay, moving on, we're going to discuss, this was the email I sent you guys. First time I sent it, it appeared as though it couldn't be opened, or it was, I don't know, it was a bunch of just letters, so I resent it to you guys for review. So just to kind of give you a background, myself and Dave McWilliams, we took the Conservation Commission job requirements, and I took the CPC job requirements that we have reviewed in our past meetings. And what I did was condense some of the job requirements. And then myself and Dave had gone in front of the selectmen, and we presented what we had thought would be a good combination for the job requirements. So what I sent you guys was an actual rough draft of what happened after we combined, or after we had kind of condensed what we thought would be good qualifications for an applicant, and wanted to review it, see if you guys had any comments or any suggestions.
Hey, Jeannie, is this not the one that came back from legal that Carl had sent off to legal?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so just to be clear, right? If we read through this and we agree that this is a good job description of what we're looking for, it's already gone through the town's legal department from a labor standpoint and been rubber stamped by them. So this is what would be approved and posted unless we do it.
So I see it's a 32-hour-a-week job. Does that person get benefits at 32 hours?
Yes.
yes, they do.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
Quick background, yes, it would be a 32-hour-a-week job. Where we come into play for CPC is that the person would get, or we would get 8 hours of that 32 as a committee for the individual to do the necessary work that we need for CPC to be done.
Hey, I'm gonna ask Dennis Clark if he could kind of weigh in here. Dennis had a conversation today with the town of Northampton and the CPC coordinator for the town of Northampton, and I believe they have the same exact hybrid position with conservation and CPC together. So maybe he can give some insight into the conversations he had with them. So Dennis, do you mind?
No, I'd be happy to share that with you. Yeah, I did talk to somebody for Northampton today that used to be on the Northampton CPC. It no longer is, but they have combined the positions of Conservation Commission Coordinator and Community Preservation Commission Coordinator as a full-time job in Northampton. The only difference would be this position handles the applications coming in. It doesn't handle the finances. They have a separate person who also works for the Community Block Grant. They share somebody with the Community Block Grant Committee, and that person handles the finances, because as you know, the application process is one thing, and finances, seeing the CPC does not have a secretary on board. It's up to the town right now to give you all the information on the finances. It's kind of an undue burden on Laura Fletcher. I mean, she's been good about it, but a lot of times it's difficult to figure out what's going on. So it would be good if that were incorporated into that position. A treasurer of sorts, somebody that would keep track of the coming and going of the money. But that's all I got.
Thanks, Dennis.
So Dennis, did you get a copy? And I apologize, I could have probably sent it to you. With reviewing the combined, what we had, what they had presented to us as the combined position, do you not feel that it's detailed enough to be able to separate that between someone actually doing the treasure part and someone doing the actual application part?
I did not get an opportunity to see that job posting.
Okay. I could email it to you, and you could look at it.
Sure, you could do that.
So it's my understanding the town is required to give us those, whatever's required by law to have the CPC, the town has to give us that. So I don't think it should make a difference at all in the job description.
What do you say? It should come out of the town budget, not the CPC budget? Is that what you're saying?
Unless I misunderstood the way it's supposed to work is once the town voted to get CPC funds, there are certain such as doing the minutes, the financials, the town has to provide that to you. Otherwise, they knew that when they agreed to sign up for this. That's the way I understand it. I could be wrong, someone correct me if I am.
I think, and this is an observation, but I think they have, in a sense, that's why we have Sue. But I think what ended up happening was it's overwhelming for Sue, and she wasn't given or doesn't have enough hours to be able to do that. So that was wherein we were trying to have the job created to come out of the administrative funds. You follow me?
Yeah. There's a lot of extra things like, I don't know, doing research, trying to think whatever. There's a lot of other things that we definitely need an administrator, but or coordinator rather. But the town is still on the hook for some of it.
Right, I guess the issue is, if we agree that the town needs, or the board needs somebody, does the job description you have in front of you cover enough of that job description to put it out for posting? Keeping in mind that you don't want a job description posted that's 15 pages long either, right? So there's certain conversations that would be had with any applicant, like any other job, I guess, that even though it may not necessarily be written in the definition, that they become part of the responsibility. So if we want to post a position, we need to vote to accept this or amend it and then vote on it at the next meeting.
Dennis, if you're willing, or if you know, so you have been in contact with the people in Northampton who have done this. And have they hired someone? And what are the problems that someone faces based on their job description? Because this is a shared position for our town. It's going to be 32 hours, of which we get 8 of their day, or their week rather. And do they feel stretched? Are they left out to lunch? I just want to make sure that when we hire someone, that their mission is clear on what we need. And I'm sure that we're not the first township to do this kind of thing, but I want to make sure that we're not the first township to have a problem with it. Does anybody know?
So my comment was to the financial part of it, that there's nothing in the job description about the financials. And I don't think that applies here. I don't think it's an issue.
Brian, for the lack of my understanding, can you be a little bit more specific on you're referring to how the
So-
person gets paid out of, like where their pay comes from? I'm not following you, I'm sorry.
No, I think he's
Me
talking about
either.
the accounting for the funds that go into the
Okay,
CPC.
okay, that's right. Okay, so that was part of, did we not, one of the things that I stressed when I submitted the job qualifications was a working knowledge of accounting. And that may have been omitted.
I think we both read that up, so I would imagine it's got to be in there somewhere. Maintain financial records and perform research on all projects submitted.
And then on page 2 is responsible for approving invoices and payroll relating to the operation of the Conservation Committee.
Yeah, if you look specific to the CPC under number 6, prepare an annual CP3 report with assistance from the town accountant as required by DOR and CPA coalition. So that goes back to what Brian was saying. The financials would continue to come from the town. So the town accounting office is generally responsible for the accounting. If you look under the job requirement, general knowledge of accounting is in there, but it doesn't state that they're responsible for accounting. They're just need to be able to read a balance sheet or a ledger or a P&L.
So the numbers would come from the town and and our admin is responsible for reporting the numbers that come from the town. That's it. They're not responsible for validating those numbers. They're
Yeah,
just
well, I mean,
responsible for.
So think of this,
reporting
it's got to come from the town anyways, because the town's the one who collects the taxes, right? So the surcharge that's levied on everybody's property taxes is collected by the town. We have to get that information from them. We don't know what that number is, so they have to provide that. And yeah, I think we validate it as much as possible, but we need them to provide us with that raw data.
So there was just a comment, that someone had made a comment that said, I think I remember hearing what Brian Walker is talking about in the CPA boot camp. Any accounting or finance should come from the general fund. But this person said, I could be wrong, but that was their comment, just so that everyone is
She's right.
aware
It
of
was
that.
part of that boot camp.
Any other comments in regards to that?
So it would just be the administrators, it would just be his job to report to the commission from the assessor's office, I mean, from the accounting office. They would get the information from the accounting and report to your board. That's not happening right now. It's kind of vague where the money is and, you know, where it stands. So at least you'd have an idea of what's coming and what's going.
So then do we need to be more specific in the job description, or is that something that we go through with the person once appointed, and when reviewing their actual job duties, that's something that gets reviewed with that individual, whoever may be hired?
Yeah,
My
I think
opinion-
that,
Sorry, Dennis.
I think that'd be sufficient, but
I think that's covered under 6.
Right.
Now that it's been clarified for me,
Mhm.
but I think that's covered under 6, which is what you said. And
Right, specific to CPC. Third page. Yep. Page 3.
don't think I printed it out. Right?
Oh, really?
Page.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, no, yours is different
It
than
was
mine.
different than, oh, sorry, guys.
You got the abridged version, the clip.
I guess
Yeah.
I do. I printed out the wrong one, perhaps. Okay. Okay. So we do have that listed, yes, as Beth said. Okay, thanks. Might have been a different one. And I think we need to stress that also, you know, with applicants or with an individual who does get appointed the job. Is there anything else that you can see that needs to be added, suggestions? Okay.
Just
Now,
a-
keeping, go
This,
ahead.
this is Deb. Just a quick question. Are we sure that 8 hours is going to be enough?
We're not, but a couple things that happened was, one is we were told that if it came down to the point where 8 wasn't enough, it would be revisited. The other thing is at this point in time, the 8 has to happen because based on where the funding comes from to pay the individual, we really can only handle 8 financially based on the fact that it comes out of the administrative fund, which we don't want to deplete our entire fund, paying an individual for the position. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just don't want to see the next person get overwhelmed as well.
Right, exactly. And I know that 8 doesn't seem like a lot, and I agree with you on that. I just think I know that it was brought up with the selectmen and we were told that we would kind of revisit it if we got to that point where it was an issue.
Okay, thanks.
In my opinion, it is 416 hours a year that we didn't have ever before.
True. Math.
Every man.
Thanks for doing that.
You're welcome.
So I guess if there's no other questions, I'm gonna make a motion to accept the job description as is and ask the town to post it.
Second.
Okay, Dave McWilliams, motion to accept the application.
I second it.
Brian Walker seconds it. Okay, we'll have an individual vote. Joanne Horchak, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, Deb Harath,
Yes.
thank you. Brian Walker,
Yes.
John Wally,
Yes.
and myself, Jeannie Reed, yes. Beth,
Yes.
thank you. Dave McWilliams, Dave Spina.
Yes.
Okay, unanimous. The vote to submit the application, the job description as is for posting to begin the hiring process for a staff person. Thank you, guys. Is there any other old business that we need to talk about?
I got one thing actually was requested by the chair of the Master Plan Advisory Committee, Marcus Phelps, to
Okay,
provide a kind of update on where we stand on, as you know, the CPC provided up to $25,000 toward the housing plan.
yes,
So the Master Plan Committee is currently meeting with the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, looking to get them on contract to actually support putting that plan together. They're looking to get actually a scope of work finalized
Okay.
here in the next, possibly even this week,
okay,
moving along.
thank you. Okay, any other old business? Okay, we'll move on to new business. Do we have any new applications? No, okay, so no new applications. A couple things I wanted to bring up was that our annual membership dues need to be paid. And that is a total of $1,750. And Stu, do you remember the deadline for that?
I don't think they give us a hard deadline.
Okay. So we received an email on January 12th for this. So we'll need to make sure that we have our coalition dues paid. And that is for us being members of the coalition, being able to use the coalition for numerous things. A lot of it is to be able to bounce off some of our projects with some of the folks who know a lot more than we know, looking for advice, things like that. Anyone want to entertain a motion?
I make a motion to pay the bill.
Okay. That's Thomas' motion to pay the coalition bill.
Dave Spino, second.
Thank you. All in favor, those, all in favor for paying our coalition bill?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So it is, our coalition bill will be paid. Moving on to our annual report that we need to submit. That is something we have to do yearly. What it basically is CPC kind of bragging about what we've done for the past year. And the report gets submitted to the selectmen. One thing that I just wanted to bring up was there was some accomplishments that we had. So Dave already kind of talked about the one accomplishment with the housing was for the planning board to develop the housing plan, which was for $25,000. The Conservation Commission, we granted for $15,000 for the North Pond Trails grant. And then we did we approved the Southwick PD, a $5,000 approval for the roof, for the preservation of the cupola, is that how you say cupola? On the roof. Was there anything else that we did throughout the year that anyone can?
The right to farm signs.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, yes.
It was a quiet year.
It kind of was, but COVID didn't help that at all,
I agree.
really. So, is there anything else that anyone can think of?
Wasn't there something with the cemetery?
I think that was the year before.
It was an ongoing project, I think.
Let's see, so. Yeah, so for 2021 was the future projects, I just went back through our emails from last year was the North Pond Trails grant, the Old Town Library. As we know, we did pass it, however, it didn't get passed through the town vote, and then the housing plan. So we pretty much, and the farm signage was from 2020 and it was finished this year. The cemetery restoration was the one, Brian, you were talking about, right?
That, and wasn't there something about mapping all the mapping in the cemetery?
There was
Or is that
restoration and
before?
preservation of the stonework. And then there was additional funds for tree removal, retaining wall, repair of the vault, and archiving records digitally.
That's what I'm thinking of. Okay.
Okay. So those were started, or excuse me, those were approved in 2020 at the town meeting. We should probably make sure that they are completed. Is there anything that we have, anybody has any ideas for upcoming for 2022 that they would either like to see or they've heard folks maybe kind of looking to do in the town?
One of the things I'd like to see is for us to generate a real list of what we've done and what we've completed. Because, and this is probably going to be a job for our admin, so that people know where their money went. And whether it comes from the first year that we voted the CPC in as a town, or whether it comes from the last 5 years, I really don't care. But to give people a list of, here's what was asked for, and here's what got done, and here's where your money went. And thank you for putting into the funds so that we did all these really cool, yummy things.
Okay.
I would like to see that.
When is this due to the town? When do they want that?
Getting your reports before town meeting.
Yeah, it's before,
Ah, so no hurry.
let me just, we're not in a hurry, but they did say, well, they're asking for it back by February 1st.
Ooh, need to know.
And they're saying it's because it's a very lengthy process to compile the work. And I would imagine it's one person who has to do this for all the boards. So we don't have much time.
Hmm.
But if you can think of something, we can,
I'm gonna float, we had a conversation, you and I,
Mhm.
and I actually had a conversation today with Chris Pratt about it.
mhm.
And I guess it's been brought up before, but I would like to see something done from a recreation standpoint when we look at the buckets for the CPC. I'd love to see a dog park in town.
Okay,
I think it's something that gets community members together, gets them out, they socialize with one another. And I just think it's a real good use of town's property and the town's resources if we can find an appropriate place to put it. So I'm gonna do some research into that. If anybody wants to pitch in, I think I would take any help that I could get, but see if we can find a location and then see what, funding we could get to put something like that together.
okay. One idea I just happened to see that someone had suggested previously in a meeting last year around this time was maybe utilizing the tennis courts at the rec center, kind of revitalizing them into, someone said, a pickleball court, which I don't really play, but I know it's gaining popularity. But I was going to reach out to maybe someone in the rec center to see if they wanted to possibly entertain that kind of thing, to have those courts not go to waste, but maybe think of an idea for those courts or tennis courts. But it is something that's there already, and maybe someone might want to take on the job of doing the legwork to apply or get quotes and things like that. So I'm going to reach out to somebody on rec center. But you can always just shoot us an email if anyone has any other ideas. I mean, we don't have much time, but just even your thought on an email, we can always put it into future, our future plans or what we're looking at for future stuff. Anybody else have any other comments? No other new business? We could pick our date for our next meeting. Which would be,
So looks like February 16th would be the third Wednesday. If that
Okay.
works for everybody.
does that work for everybody?
Same time, same bat channel.
Yes, sir.
And that's after the historical commission meets again, right?
Yes, because I want to say, it was like February 3rd or 2nd that they were meeting. Which would, or
Is there a way,
February-
some way we can we get some kind of response from them before our next meeting so we can review it and be ready to do something about it before the meeting?
Yes, I'm texting someone right now, to ask them what day is, their meeting. But that would be nice. So we can move this along, right? Because we still, you have the intent that you have to then do it, you have to get it on for the, town meeting for May. And even though you think you have a lot of time, we still have to go back over, meet with Jen again at our meeting. That pushes you into March-ish,
Yep.
So yeah, let's hope that they have something for us, and I will ask to make sure that, we have something before our meeting so that we have something to talk about. So we agree upon 2/16?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
7 PM?
7 PM, yes. Is that good for everybody?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
You need or want a motion?
Yes, sir.
I move to have the next meeting, 7 PM, February 16th, 2022.
Second that?
Thank you, Deb. All in favor of next meeting, 2/16?
Aye.
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 Okay. And that's it. That's what we have for new business.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you. Damon, second. Everyone in favor to adjourn our meeting? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.